What's up guys, Richard here, welcome back to my channel. Now today we're going to do a one-off video on how to work with the Flax engine. Now the reason I decided to do this video is because if you remember in my previous one I was making a water shader and I was teaching you guys how to combine normal maps. And I thought, you know, this is a bit of a process and obviously we can streamline this. We could have a node which is literally just combining normal maps. And I was thinking about how to do this, and just at that one time, one of the developers actually decided to do a stream on Discord about how to add material nodes, or how to add things, and I asked him about material nodes, but it wasn't recorded, so I decided I'm going to make this video, share it with you guys, and if you want to get into engine development, or like contribute to the Flax engine, then hopefully this would be like your way of wetting your feet. Because there is a lot of work that needs to be done. If I go to like the issues section of the Flax GitHub repository, you'll see there's like 64 bugs and it's just growing. People are reporting stuff constantly, so it does need a lot of work and it does need a lot of help. But if you want to develop a new feature, then there's the whole Flax roadmap. And you can get to both of these just through the official website. There's the high priority section, which is what the main devs are kind of working on at the moment. But if you guys want to help out with the bugs and stuff, that would be great. It will help all of us in the end. So let's have a look let's look at the structure of the actual repository. So you've got two sections, Flax and Flax Engine. Flax is C++, C++, and Flax Engine is C#. Now you have the editor and engine in both of them because, well, there's certain parts of the editor and engine which are in both languages. So it's a little bit of it can be a little bit interesting trying to navigate your way around, but what the designer, what the developer told me was that if you're looking for something, look for something that's similar to what you're looking for, and then basically search for that. So for example, if I open up this here, my project, and I wanted to make a node, ignore that because I was playing around. If I want to make a node, like my blend normals node here, I'll look for something that's similar, a similar material node. And I don't know, is there anything like normals in here? Maybe derive normal Z or something like that, and you'll search for that, just string search for it in the engine, and it will hopefully get you to the spot you need to get to. But today we're going to create this node, the blend normals. I've created it, I pushed it, it's in the repository, it will be in the next binary build when they release that. So I know that works. Basically, it just takes in two normal maps, mixes them, saves us having to do this whole mess just here. Okay, so let's find out how to do this. So there's two sections you need to do. First, we'll start with the C#, which is the front end, the editor, and then we'll work our way backwards to the actual C++ core. So if we go to the engine, that means we need to go into the C#. From here, we need to go into the editor because we're obviously making editor modifications. Then we're going to go to surface. Surface is basically where you drop nodes. Then we're going to go into archetypes, which I think represents the different types of nodes that exist. And then for us, we're going to go into material. Okay, now the way this works is basically all of these nodes are part of this giant array. So I've already created one which is called blend normals, and we're going to create our own, which is like a mixture of two colors. We're going to mix two colors, a nice simple node that we can use in the system. Obviously, I'm not going to push this. So what you got to do is pretty much just find one node that's already similar to what you want. So I'm going to grab my own blend normals. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to copy it. Now, and then fix up that spacing. Okay, so first you need an ID. Now, the last ID used was 27, rotator. So I'm going to change this, I'm going to go 28. I'm going to give it a name for this node, so this will be like blend or mix colors. Let's just go mix colors. And then I'll give it a description. This is what pops up when you hover your mouse over it. This is awesome and mixes colors. Okay, so this is a material graph node, so just leave that in there. This size represents the physical size of the node within the node editor. Sometimes you need to make them longer because your title's really long. The connection hints, so when you drag it off, like what does it expect? And these here are the elements. So you've got inputs and outputs. So if I go into here and you look at my blend normals, we got two inputs, base normal and additional normal, and one output result. And if you have a look here, input 0, the first input, is base normal. Input 1, the second input, is additional normal. And then output 0 is result. So that's the first on the right-hand side. Now, you need to specify what types they are. This is a vector 3, vector 3, vector 3, because that's what normal maps are. They're all vector 3s. And this is ID 0, ID 1, ID 2. So that's basically it. So then if we want to make our own, we're going to go color 1, and we'll call this color 2, and then we'll just leave that as result, and I think the rest of that should be fine. There's other flags in here that you can add, not just these ones. There's like default values and stuff, I believe, like, let's have a look. Yep, right here, you've got default values, so you can actually put in a list of default values. There's a few other little flags, but I think that should be fine. So that is the front end, the editor. Now we're going to do the back end, the C++, which specifically deals with writing the HLSL code that represents this node that you just made. Now the HLSL code, if you come from Unity, then it's quite obvious. Basically, that's the shader code. If you come from Unreal, you never deal with that. So yeah, the shader code is basically what the GPU, the graphics card, gets, reads, and does. Okay, so now we're going to go into the C++ side of things. So we go under the Flax here, the C++. Then we're going to go to Engine, and we're going to go into Tools. Where is Tools? Yep, cool. Tools, Material Generator, and then we're going to go to the Material Generator, Material 1. Now, we're in the CPP, and you'll notice in here, if I go up, let's find the spot. Okay, so you'll notice all these case numbers. This is a giant switch statement. So this is case 26, blend normals, case 27, rotator. So if I go back to here, you'll see 26 normals, that's the ID, 27 rotator. So I called mine 28. So naturally, that means I need to add another statement in here for the switch. So we're going to go 28, and we're going to call this mix colors. Okay, so first up, let's just comment all of that, and we'll just end it with a break, and we're going to build out what we've got. So I'm going to grab one that's more similar to what I'm doing. That's probably the best thing, just grab code that's similar to the type of one you're trying to make. You may not find one, and then you'll be not having fun, because you'll be figuring it all out, but I'm going to grab one that's similar, and also to make this video not too insanely long. Okay, so we have two inputs, our color 1, color 2. So we're going to go const auto, and we're going to call this color 1, and now we need to get those inputs. So we're going to go try get value, and we're going to go to the node, which is just like this specific node, and get box, and we're going to grab from the very first input. Okay, so that's box 0. If the input is empty, well, then we need to provide the default statement or the default value. So here you could just go vector 3, and we're just going to go 0. So it's just going to be an empty vector 3. And just get this as a vector 3. I don't know if this last part's actually required, because some of them use it, some of them don't, but I've found that it doesn't break it, and it does seem to work, so good, I guess. I'm not a developer of this engine, I'm just learning like you guys. And then obviously we're going to do this for also color 2. Then rather than typing that whole thing out, I will just copy it, rename it, call it color 2, and then we'll just go input 1. Okay, so there, we've got our two inputs. Now we need to write the string that will be basically copied into the shader and will contain the logic behind whatever you're trying to do here. Now, I'm mixing colors, so all I'm going to do is just times one vector by another. So this is very easy. So I'm going to go make a string, and we're going to make the formatting for the string. We're going to use the text macro, so it's a literal string. That basically allows non-ASCII characters. I don't know if we'd need to use those, but they use it in all the statements here, so I'm going to use it. So to make a vector 3, you'd go float 3, and you'd use its constructor and feed something into it. Now, float 3 in HLSL is basically just a vector 3. So now, what am I going to feed into it? Well, first, I need to give this formatting string the values that it can access. So it's going to access color 1, and it's going to access its value, and it's going to access color 2, and it's going to also access its value. Okay, so how do we get these colors into this vector? Well, what you would do is they're in order. This is 0, this is 1. Okay, so we're going to access 0, and we're going to times that by 1. Now you could access individual elements of 0. You could go, I just want the x, or I just want the y, or in fact, I want the x and the y. You can do that. But we're just going to go 0, this times that one. So 1 times the other. Now you need to make an actual variable within the shader that's going to basically contain this on the right hand side. So you're going to make the left hand side. So you're going to go value is equal to write local. This means like write it within the shader. And we're going to write the type, value type vector3, and the reason I have this commented out up here is just so I can reference it rather than just guessing. And we're going to take in that text1, and we're going to, I think that's the output it to the, let me just check. Oh no, it's just taking in the node, so it just knows. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Now we have created it, and we can delete all of this, and this should work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to minimize all this down. I'm going to right click, I'm going to go rebuild, and oh yes, I'm currently in debugging mode, so I'm going to close this off. Yes, I guess. I'm going to rebuild this, and I'm going to come back in about 5 minutes, because right now there's not much I can do. I just got to wait. Okay, so we have finished building. Now all we're going to do is basically just run it. We're going to open up the project that I had previously and test it. And you'll know straight away if it worked. One, you'll have like an error message there if it didn't work. But there's also times where it will build fine, but your shader will break. And that will be very noticeable, because what will happen is you'll create your node over here. So if I go mix colors, in fact, if this breaks, you'll see straight away. So if I go straight into color, you see how it turned black? That means it worked. So there's no problems there. But if it didn't work, what would actually happen is this would then just appear with like a grid through it. It would, I think it would appear, you see that for a second where it flashes white and you got like that circular grid going around? It will be permanently that, and you won't be able to save it, and when you close it and you reopen it, it will just be gone, whatever you did. So let's test this out. So we're going to go color 1, color 2, save. That looks like it worked. Let's try a different color. Okay, go save. Hello. I think we are experiencing a break right now. Let's try. Oh, it's because I had like a really dark color there, I believe. Let me make this like a green. And have this one go blue. It's definitely doing something, so it's mixing these colors. It's probably just not mixing in the way I expected. Okay, and go plus, because it's doing, it's, oh, that's right. I did a multiplication, not a plus, or anything like that. Anyway, so yeah, it's working. That was basically the whole point of showing you this. Now, obviously, I'm not going to push it, but if you were, what you'd do is you'd create your own fork from the master. You'd give it a comment, whatever, you'd push it. Then you would go straight to the Flax GitHub repository, go to pull requests, you'd go new pull request, and then you'd compare across forks, you'd slap it in here, you'd go, you'd grab your fork, it would pop up the differences, and then once you've done all that, you would go submit it. Now, I've already got my pull request in there, so I'm not going to go any further than this, but that should be far enough. Now, if you're looking for things to do within the engine, well, there's lots of stuff you can do. For one, there's a ton of bugs that need to be fixed, and two, there's like a ton of Trello tickets for like different features that haven't been completed and things like that. And if you're looking for something specific, then jump into the Discord and ask, like, what should I work on? That's pretty much it. If you like this video, like it, share it around, sub to the channel. See you all in the next video where we go back to game dev.